It is time for another update, the last for Rev5 suspension on the Suburban, Squarebody Summer Hangover. And you know what? It's on its own tires. It's a pretty nice little milestone. We'll go take a look. Now, if you've been following the progress on Instagram, you've seen kind of some of the questions that have come up, and there's really been three consistent questions. One is, why am I not using a shackle flip? Two, why am I doing leaves at all? And then three, how much travel are you getting out of that? One, why am I not using a flip? Well, you remember when we started this thing, I had a shackle flip. Now, we're gonna change some terms here. Shackle flip in the Chevy sense means compression shackle. It means the shackle is oriented below the hanger and the spring is trying to push up and crush the shackle at all times. Tension shackle, which is original position and very Baja go fasty, it allows you to have a deeper arch spring, which you would think deeper arch springs are bad, those are stiffer. Well, in a custom spring, one spec'd to the exact weight of this truck and this exact length, the right arch spring allows actually for you to get some pretty great travel. Combined with that new boomerang shackle that Offroad Design makes, this is a really good travel suspension and with minimal, or at least manageable, axle steer. Link suspensions almost eliminate axle steer. This is as good as you're gonna get out of a leaf setup. And the other reason that I didn't use the link setup is I didn't want to push the shocks through the floor. This is more of a utility type of truck setup. I wanted to be more bolt-on in the rear. A link setup is very, very cool. And I'm not knocking that at all. Offroad Design makes a great system, but for this truck, as like a Swiss Army knife of going and camping truck and off-roading and all that, leaves are where it is at. Because I can still throw a 4x8 sheet of plywood in this and also just go to the hardware store and get the things that I need. That's what I need out of this. I will do a link suspension. It'll just be on another truck. So tension shackle has better and more consistent pinion angle through its range of travel. I didn't want to push the shocks through the floor, and I wanted to get a lot of travel out of a leaf suspension to showcase how awesome custom leaf packs are.
It's heavy. All right.
Anybody need to go wipe?
Remember that time where you carried one from the UPS guy and I carried one? That was kind of dumb. Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect.
In 5 minutes.
Yeah. Man, it's so great that this audio is never going to get used.
This is not a support group.
No, this is not.
Hair thing.
This rear hanger uses the factory 56-inch mounting position. These two factory holes right here are 2 of the 4 mounting positions for this shackle. And the factory position for what would be a normal half-ton 52-inch rear leaf spring, I pushed this whole bracket back to what were the factory drilled holes for 56-inch rear leaves. This front hanger actually makes use of some of the original mounting holes. It used to sit back here, and you can kind of still see the witness marks right here and here where the bracket used to sit. And I just busted those rivets, moved it forward, and then this bolt right up here is actually the upper forward mount for the original bolt hole. Basically, this bolt used to be right here. And as I moved it down and forward, I just basically made that the locator. And then there's a flat part of the frame right here where this whole mount just kind of jigs itself. It's really easy. One thing about getting this axle in place is there's a couple of measurements you really need to make sure that you take very carefully, and I spent some time on it. One is get the axle centered in place. The spring perches on a Suburban, and like I think most like 1/2 and 3/4 ton pickups, is 42.5 inches from center pin to center pin. And while the axle has got, you got different widths, 67, 69, 70 inches, whatever it might be, you need to make sure that those spring widths are, really, really, really close. You could probably have up to about an 1/8 inch tolerance for, being off here and there, because that's just, still a leaf spring rear end, still moves around a little bit. But you want to make sure that you got this thing as dead centered as possible. I started out being about 1/4 inch within, and then bang the axle back and forth, and you kind of find center real fast. Now, all the shocks and bump mounts and sway bars and all that stuff, all of that was assembled with the suspension at full bump. Remember, Dave broke down those spring packs to where it was just the top 2 leaves and placed the suspension up. Those 2 leaves were not enough to compress and move around the truck. They just, got leveled out. We found where the tires, fit and cleared, and then I built everything around it. So it was built at full bump and verified to clear everything everywhere else in the travel. Speaking of travel, these leaves do a ton of work. They've got about 14 3/4 inches of travel built in them. The bump stops have are set up to land here on these spring plates. I built these little landing plates. The center pin is right under here, but I put these landing plates in place so that as it comes up, the spring pack moves backwards. It'll impact that bump right there. It's designed on 2 shear plates. This one is perpendicular to the spring plate at full compression. And then this one is perpendicular to the frame and leaves this little pocket so that the sway bar can move up and down. Speaking of sway bars, this is also a kit from Offroad Design. It's a 1 1/4 bar, hollow bar from Speedway. And they have a set of their universal arms on it and end links. And it's really just kind of like a fabricate your own universal kind of setup. It can go in front or back. It's just a whole lot easier to package here in the rear. On that subject of packaging, you can see how the sway bar works together with the upper shock mounts to create a heavy-duty cross member. And then also, I use those wheel every weekend coil-over resi mounts. Those things are super slick. Now, I still do have, a good number of small things to do. I got to put the brakes on. Things like shorten my drive shaft. Everything compresses so much farther now that I got to put more slip in the drive shaft and make it about overall an inch shorter because it goes up so far. And then throw some nitrogen here in the rear shocks, build an exhaust and an intake. And at that, it's just kind of filling up the fluids, brake lines, and all that sort of stuff, as I mentioned. And then we're ready to go and test. And I'm real excited about that. Hasn't been on its own tires in 6 months. That's pretty cool. So I really enjoy doing this leaf spring kind of setup and fabrication. The fun thing has been, working the chassis stiffness part as well. I've still got some more cross members to put in there, but I've really got the truck to where it's about ready to just get the final few pieces fabricated, and then I can fire it and drive it and start testing. I'm going to leave some of those fabrication pieces like sliders, a few more cross members, and details like that for after I can fire it and drive it, just because You never know the problems you're gonna have to work on in total until you just get out there and start using the truck. If you like this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe. I got a whole lot more fabrication to do on the truck and then the charger, and that's really just kind of what my jam is, man. Building stuff here on the channel that y'all are gonna enjoy, that I'm gonna get to go and drive and kind of show you some of the wonderful stuff that comes from good trusted suppliers and things that you can make with your own hands without spending a whole bunch of money. Remember, time, tools, and a little bit of practice, and there's not much that us regular guy gearheads can't make on our own. So anyway, you want to follow progress in real time, you can find me on Instagram. It's a Friday night, and as you guys know, I got a whole smash load of stuff to do. So until next time, y'all take care. Hey there, sweetie. Hey, bring it here. Come on. Good girl.